Greetings, Patrick here. Eight questions with, and yes, we are here a little early today. We had to change our start time from 8 o'clock, and we moved it up to 5 o'clock. We will be talking with uh, Brendan Gabriel Murphy, and the reason why we had a chance to move it up is that we'll be joined by actor Shiloh Fernandez, and we will be talking about the new movie called Fluxx. uh, a tremendous fan of Shiloh's and very, very excited to have him on the show. Um, I first saw him in a movie called Return to Sender, which he was absolutely riveting. Him and Rosamund Pike. Um, he's also done his body of work is just tremendous as well, and he was excellent in Flux. Flux was great. Um, my review comes out tomorrow, but I'm going to tell you now that I really enjoy Flux. I thought it was pretty awesome. To tell you the truth, Brendan he definitely did his homework here. Uh, he got a tremendous cast, used every single one of them, and everyone had a critical piece of the film, which is really important. Considering the level of the level of the cast is just absolutely amazing. Shelley, Hennig, Tyrese Gibson, Shiloh, uh, just tremendous talent. Um, so they were going to be here in about 15 minutes, and we'll get this thing cracking. Um, yeah, right before I came over, I was before I came on air, I was over watching Mike Zara's channel. Did you see that? And he was interviewing Ryan Ebert, who is a director who directs for the Asylum, and it was a pretty interesting discussion about Asylum films and how they get made and in how people perceive them. I just wanted to say this because there was something that was, Mike was real honest with him, and he says, like he knows that the movie they were talking about, um, the Jolly Monkey, wasn't the best movie, and Ryan was very gracious and said that, I understand that, you're entitled to your opinion, and it wasn't. It's not that any reviewer, if you're a good reviewer, if you're a smart reviewer, it wasn't like Mike was saying anything derogatory. He wasn't. He's just acknowledging the fact that, hey, you know, like Ryan Ebert got 6 days to film this movie. 6 days. When I first started watching Asylum films, they got between 10 to 12 days to make their movie. Ryan explains that the budgets have gone down. So now, instead of maybe 10 years ago, their budgets per film were $50,000. Now they may be $30,000, and then you have to shoot to basically what you have. Um, the thing that it is though is like, yes, a lot of people do poo on the Asylum movies, have fun with them, or what have you. But a fair film reviewer, like I reviewed a couple on my channel here, one good, one wasn't. Um, we understand a good reviewer understands that, hey, if the movie comes out looking rough, like the Jolly Monkey, let's say the Jolly Monkey comes out and it's looking rough, we know we're not going to sit there and just rip on the movie basically because it doesn't look good, because it looks rushed. The lines are wooden. Maybe there's some weird editing going on. We know, or anybody who reviews knows what an asylum director goes through. We know that the way the movie looks is generally not their fault. It's 6 days. I dared Steven Spielberg to go out there with $30,000 and crank out a award-winning movie. He can't do it. So why in the hell would you expect that coming from some young directors who are just cutting their teeth, right? I mean, you just wouldn't. Um, so I just want to say that I think from where Mike was coming from, he wasn't ripping on anybody's film. He wasn't. He was just basically saying, "Hey, the movie was a little rough." But it's not like he's sitting out there bringing out the axe for it. He's not. He's just saying that, hey, it just really basically wasn't my cup of tea. The budget goes into it. Some of the acting goes into it. I mean, because a lot of the actors they get are like, even Ryan himself was sitting there saying how they cast one person in a critical role, and it was his very first movie. He hadn't done a movie before, and here he is coming to the set 2 days before they're shooting with a 105-page script and 6 days to shoot it. And you're asking a brand new a feature film actor to walk onto the set. I just wanted to say that because I was watching the interview, and it's a great interview, by the way. And you can check that out on Mike's page. Did you see that? I thought it was a really well done interview, and I really liked Ryan a lot. I liked Ryan Ebert. I really liked him a lot. He was very patient. He explained everything, how it works at the asylum. It was a really, really well done interview. Um, and I wish we could answer a few more questions, though. Answer a few more questions for us, but that's neither here nor there. I just thought it was a great interview, and Mike should be very proud of it. And yeah. So there you go. Us, on the other hand, we're getting ready to crack off here with Brendan Gabriel Murphy, and super happy about that. Brendan's been on the show before, and he is one to keep an eye on. That's for sure. I think this movie here, Flux, is really going to put him on the map, per so to speak. I really do. I think it's going to put him on the map. I think this film is Flux is very timely. It has a great message to it. One that we should be paying attention to, especially today. Um, and so I'm looking forward to talking to him about it, how he got the idea. Um, so all right. So doo, 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 doo. I just want to bring up. I believe that me and Brendan last time we talked, um, he was getting ready to. He had gathered. He was gathering all his forces together to make this film, and he was gathering. He was in pre-production. So he turned around and we talked a little bit about that. Um, uh, as far as that goes, and it's cool to come back a year and come back and check it out to see how long did it take for the movie to actually get made. It took basically a little over a year for it to get made and to reach the market. Um, I believe some of the movie was a little made a little bit beforehand. I think it was some filming beforehand, but the movie that we're talking about today, I believe it took from the time we talked to Brendan last time to now, when it premiered last month. I do believe it was a calendar year, but we'll find out. I definitely got some shows here to talk about. Um, Tomorrow night's show with our good friend Marcus. That show has been postponed. I don't know when it's going to be rescheduled. Marcus had a death in the family, and unfortunately for that, very sad. And my thoughts and prayers are out to you, Marcus. Yeah, what can I say, man? There's nothing I can say. I mean, other than I'm deeply sorry, and my thoughts are with your family, and it just sucks. Um, but we'll reschedule whenever you feel like it. When you're ready, then you just let me know. We'll get you up here. Um, Wednesday we're dark. We don't have anything scheduled because I scheduled the next show for Thursday the 19th. We'll be talking with Addison Heath, who runs Black Forest Films, and we're heading down under for that. We're going back to Australia. That's right. We talked to Tate Irons last week. Tremendous interview, by the way, too. With a really impressive young man. Um, I had so much fun talking to him. He's such passionate and just really hardworking, and I really enjoyed talking to him quite a bit. And his grandparents came over and dropped a comment on the interview. I thought that was amazing. Thank you so much for that. So we had a lot of fun with Australia, so much so that we're going back down there this Thursday to hang out with Addison Heath. And then on the 21st, we will be on at 8 o'clock. We're doing another watch party. This time we're going to be watching the movie Reap with the film director and screenwriter Joe Leone. Joe's almost like a semi-regular here on the show. But super happy to have him talk about Reap. It's a great movie, very very cool movie, and looking forward to talking to him as we rewatch it. Highly recommend that. On the 22nd, Sunday the 22nd at 8 o'clock, it sees the return of Adam Marcus, director and screenwriter Adam Marcus. He's got a brand new documentary, Hearts of Darkness, the making of the Final Friday. As you know, Adam Marcus was the director of Jason Goes to Hell, and which even today is still decisive, which I totally don't understand that. I totally don't get it. I don't understand it at all. But yeah, but he was here before. We had an amazing discussion. I will be joined once again from Hey Internet, it's Eric. He's going to come out and hang out with us for the show. Um, and so I'm looking forward to that again. Hopefully, we'll get the Bat, aka Al Lecard. The Bat will be here with us. Then we'll have the gang all together again. But that's gonna be 8 o'clock here on the channel. Looking forward to talking to Marcus again, Adam Marcus. Excited for his documentary. It's gonna be really interesting. I'm very interested in seeing how. I know it's doing really well. He's been going to different places for different screenings. I know it's doing very very well. A lot of fans are turning up for it, and hopefully those with open minds will watch this movie, understand exactly what Adam had to go through to get that movie made, instead of being the nitwit, narrow-minded people that pop off about the movie that really don't investigate it too much. They just go with the crowd and sit there and say, "Well, gosh, they don't like it, so I must not like it either," instead of doing their own thinking and watching the movie and understanding the background of the movie. It'll make it for a much better viewing experience. But that's just me. That's another thought. So that'll be here at 8 o'clock on the 23rd, next Monday. Next Monday, we have a doubleheader show, but we're not doing Eight Questions with. We're doing Clash of the Titans. That's right, Clash of the Titans. I'm actually going to need a little help on this one too. We're going to be doing two shows. First, early on at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, I will be battling our good friend Matt, aka Pugwall, and he and I are going to be talking about our worst films in our collections. Not the best, like Clash of the Titans. We're doing the worst. So he's going to be talking about the room, that room, not the Brie Larson room, and me. I'm bringing to the party Superman 4. God, I bring a lot of Superman to the show, don't I? Clash of the Titans, I've already, man, but that's what we're going to be bringing to the party. But just when you think, man, that's some bullshit watching all some bad movies like that, we're coming back that night for a classic Clash of the Titans, and I will be joined by our good friend John Platt X2 and at 8 o'clock, and he and I will be talking the classic screen queens, the ladies from Hollywood's golden age. Uh, John likes Jean Arthur. That's his girl, and I'll be talking about Myrna Loy. Uh, that will be uh, that will be mine. All right. Uh, All right, so that will be happening. That will be happening on next Monday. Uh, we're closed on 24th and the 25th. On the 26th, we have a band coming in from our good friend Ant Review Things. He recommended that I talk to Prison City Brigade at 8 o'clock on the 26th of June. I happen to agree with him, and so they're going to come out and we're going to talk with the band. Um, wow, well, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. I've listened to their band and it's amazing. It's one of the best sounding pop punk bands I've ever heard. All of them have great voices. It's not just the vocalist, the other two backing up. They all have great voices. Um, okay, and our good friend Brendan's just pinging me, letting me know that they'll be here in a couple minutes. Ready for action. Ready for action. So that'll be 8 o'clock on June 26th. On Saturday, June 28th. June 28th, excited once again at because at 4 o'clock we are bringing in the cast and crew of the Wide West. That's right, Joe Gornett and Alexander Nevsky and the lovely Tatiana Neva will be here at 4 o'clock. We're going to be talking about all things the Wide West. I watched the movie. And I can tell you, it's a lot of fun. There's a nice John Ford vibe to it this time. I really like that. And it's interesting. We're gonna have a good discussion about this, and hopefully, we'll get some information about possibly the new Rio Bravo movie that's coming out as a franchise is continuing. And it's really funny. It's like ever since I met Joe and Alexander, the westerns have been sort of, but now since I've talked to them, we've known each other now for a couple of years. All of a sudden now I turn around and it seems like everybody's doing a western. Everybody's doing them now. And I just, to me, it's like, wow, it almost seems like they got the ball rolling. And I definitely want to give Joe and Alexander a lot of credit for that. I mean, all their movies that they've done and the Western theme have done very well. Have done very well. They're a lot of fun, and they are available for home release. And so we're going to be talking to them about the Wide West, which is also based on a true historic event, which is a calling card for Joe and Alexander when they do their westerns. They are based on real people, and I will tell you this right now: the wardrobe for this movie is the best I've seen since I watched Cyrano. That wardrobe is absolutely on fire. I just gotta tell you that the clothes that are featured in the film are just absolutely beautiful. Um, I hope they get an award for that because they definitely deserve it. So Alexander, Joe, and Tatiana will be here with us on the 28th at 4 p.m. And then the 29th, the ISC Midnighters rally one more time as we will be featuring our first Shutter film. We're going to be reviewing a Shutter film over on Ben's Cadaver Club's channel. Uh, I know you're going like, well, how is Shutter IFC? Well, because they are sisters. Uh, they IFC Midnight has folded the shingles, so to speak, and IFC and Shutter are now co-presenting the horror films. So they're co-presenting. So Shutter is and I'm not, Shutter has a bigger name and they have a wider reach. And so and they have Joe Bob Briggs. So they're doing horror films for ISC. They're both owned by the same company, which is AMC from AMC Theaters. So we're going to be doing our very first Shutter film. We're going to do Anything for Jackson, and that will be at 8 o'clock on Ben's channel. And I have no idea. I've never seen it before, but it is on Tubi. So if you do want to get over there and check it out and then come join us on the 29th, me and Ben and the mighty Mary Wilson, we will be holding court and talking about Anything for Jackson. and then I get the baton next month. But I'm gonna make you guys wait to come over to Ben's channel the 29th before I show you what I'm gonna be doing. And let me tell you, it's a corker. It always is, right? Yeah, so I'm excited about that. It's our first Shutter film. I have a few of those myself. I have a few Shutter films, not too many, not too many. I try to get them when I could, but all right, it is time. The doorbell has rang, so it's our time to meet screenwriter and film director Brendan Gabriel Murphy, and the mighty Shiloh Fernandez. And let me tell you, I'm not kidding you about that. He is mighty. You might remember Shiloh from Evil Dead, and now he's in Fluxx, and he is tremendous in it. And here we go.
Shiloh will be here in 1 second.
All right, all right. Are you guys together?
Yeah, he'll be with me, sitting right next to me.
Okay, great. I'm gonna bump up the screen then.
Okay.
That way I can get you both in here. Let's see if that works.
Okay.
If no, but I don't think that's gonna. I think I'm gonna squeeze you guys out.
Okay.
Let me go back. I'm pretty excited about this because I've been a big fan of his for quite a while.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Shiloh. How are you? It's an honor to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, Fluxx, man. What a great movie. I got to tell you, I'm impressed. It was such a roller coaster.
That's right. I agree. I know. I had no idea Brendan was doing that opening that was actually a roller coaster, and it was such a perfect intro.
That intro is fire.
Yeah,
that intro is so fire. I was tripping. In fact, I'm not even kidding you. I went back and replayed it because I was really like, this is actually pretty kick ass right here. What a great way to start the movie.
I know. I think we last at the premiere last week or whenever it was. My wife and I have a baby, so we don't get to go out very much. And we had both seen the movie, so we left and we came in sort of a little bit later, and we missed the intro. And I was sort of bummed because I love that sort of start of the movie. It really kicks it off in a beautiful way. I thought it was a really brilliant way to start that movie.
So I definitely want to talk. I want to get into this because last time me and Brendan talked, you were in pre-production, I believe, Brendan, right? For Fluxx, you were gathering you're gathering your forces together about a year ago. So we didn't get the chance to dig into it because we were waiting for this night, for today. We were waiting for that because you said, well, as soon as I get this ready, let's talk about it. And I said, hell yeah, so let's do that.
Yeah, all right.
So I wanted to know, where did you get the idea?
Well, it happened during COVID, when we were all locked in our houses, and it was pretty brutal. We couldn't really go out anywhere. There was nothing open. So I kind of connected with this writer who ended up becoming my writing partner on Fluxx, and his name's Keontae Mayfield. And together we were like, all right, let's write a contained movie that we can shoot for a decent budget, but has to do with somebody that can't leave a house. That was like the initial idea of it. And then it just blossomed into this whole thing about an actress and her confusing her life with the movies and her not being able to really accelerate her career in a way where she thinks that she's ready for. And because of that, she comes from the soap opera world. So her life kind of takes on a soap opera kind of drama. And she starts seeing herself in these kind of B movies, So we really hammered it out during COVID, and all of a sudden I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna learn how to produce a movie. I've produced smaller projects for my company before, Altered State, and I was like, if I'm gonna get this off the ground, I kind of gotta figure out a way to do this and raise the money. And it was COVID. It was because we had time. I had time to really focus on something I really wanted to do, a passion project. So I utilized that time well, I'd have to say. So
You know, one of the things I commented on was this is like one of the strongest cast indie films I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, there are a lot of stars in this movie, and most independents they have a hard time lifting it enough to get one big star, but
Yeah.
you've got a ton.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's
did you plan? Did that was that by design, or did this project did the word of mouth get going about it? How did you assemble such a great cast?
well, you try to leave with your best foot forward. We don't have all the money in the world, and these actors are expensive. So, but the beautiful thing is that Shiloh and we've been friends for I don't even know 20 something 25 years. I don't even know 25 years. I think 20 years. So we've known each other for an eternity. It feels like he's like a brother to me. So I knew I wanted to do something with Shiloh. We had done short films in the past. I wrote it for him. So it was that's how it came together with Shiloh, and I think it was about time for us to do another project together. And it was our first movie we got to do together. So feature length movie. And Shelley actually auditioned for the role, and then she wrote me a really nice letter. She really wanted the role bad, but she was by far the best actress out of everybody who auditioned. So I was lucky to get her, and she was making a break to get back into more movies because she was doing a lot of TV. And Tyrese was just it just happened at a good time because we had lost the money for the movie, which was brutal. We went on about a year and a half hiatus. And I knew that the only way we could get the movie back on track is getting another piece of talent attached to the movie. And somehow, some way, I had this idea of combining two roles into one. And we were able to, pitch Tyrese, get him on board. And that kind of helped get the rest of the money in play so we could finish the second leg of the movie, which we did not get to finish the first time when we were shooting in Oahu, Hawaii, because we lost half the funding. So that's how. So Tyrese came in later, and then we were able to get Henry and Cusick from like Lost and a bunch of different TV shows, Scandal and whatnot. And Charlotte McKinney has like a little cameo in there, and she's big model, been around forever. She's really funny. So, but we got her in there for a day, and so we got this. We assembled a pretty damn good cast, and. I'm really proud of it with all the restraints and everything we had against us. I think everybody is incredible in the movie, and they delivered, tenfold, and I couldn't be happier.
What's really impressive about this too, and this is something I've talked with other directors and producers on the show, is a lot of times you'll get someone a lot of times you'll get someone like a Tyrese, or someone like a Shiloh. But then you don't get them for very long. You get them for like a scene or two. It's just barely enough to taste the water, so to speak. But everybody here was very involved and was critical to the movie. Even Charlotte, even her small cameo, it was absolutely vital to the movie.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't really happen. Like I said, it doesn't really happen that much in indie movies like this.
Yeah.
And of course, Shiloh's entrance is pretty badass too, though.
Yeah. Well, he really rides motorcycles, so we had to give him the cool motorcycle.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So when you saw this movie, Shiloh, what did you think of the story? I mean, the story is it's sort of funny, but it's sort of like almost like a cautionary tale for today's world. Right. So you wrote that during COVID. So yeah. I mean, who knew that was going to be as crazy as COVID was? Who knew it was going to even be more crazier than today?
Right.
What was your first impressions of the script, Shiloh?
Yeah, so like Brendan said, when I moved to Los Angeles, it was almost exactly 21 years ago. I didn't know anybody, and I happened to move in with Brendan's sister. So I got very lucky because Brendan was the first person I met, basically the first guy I met, and he was obviously an aspiring director, and I had never done anything on film. So he came to me one day and said, hey, I want to do a short film with you. So it was a huge sort of opportunity. And so he literally put me in my first short film I ever did. And Brendan is a brilliant visionary director. He has always truly had more sort of passion than anybody I've ever met And we've wanted to make a movie together for a very, very long time. And so, you know, we've had numerous scripts we've tried to get made throughout the years, and it's been really, really difficult. So, you know, he called me, and I knew that this was sort of the one. Like he knew that this was the movie he was making. And I would have done anything, you know, that I could for him. At first, you know, I thought I was just going to play a little role, a little cameo. And then I was really honored that he asked me to play Trevor, and Shelley, I'm a huge fan of as well. So it all really came together. And we also shot the beginning of the sort of first half of the movie in Hawaii. And so going to Hawaii with one of my best friends who I really respect, who I knew was going to make a brilliant film, all of those things, you know, it was really obviously enticing and sort of an honor to do. And I think with the script, it's like Brendan really does have a vision. I mean, visually, obviously, that movie is like visual candy. And so for me, it felt a little bit different than most movies I do, because really I just wanted to sort of help Brendan's vision. You know, sometimes I'll go do a movie and I'll have a real sort of set idea as to what I want to do and how I want to do it. And in this case, it was sort of like Brendan knows me so well and I trust him so much that it was just exciting to sort of be there and to see what he wanted me to do so I could help sort of fulfill his vision. That was my sort of take on this one.
So Brendan, you said you took the, you know, for the first half of the movie, you had your money in place. You went over to Hawaii to film it, and then the money got lost. Does that happen very often to films? Do you know, especially today, during today's streaming world, does that happen more often than today because there's more risk involved in making a film?
I'm sure it happens a lot in independent films. Obviously, when you're dealing with a studio or a streamer and they're financing it, then that money is already locked. But these independent films, you're scraping by to get any kind of cash you can together, and you're trying to use tax incentives and everything else that comes with it, or loans, or, you know, gap loans, bridge loans, whatever you can do just to get the movie over the finish line. Now, what we had was that, you know, we had half the financing for the movie, and the other half we were dealing with this investor for 6 months plus, signed contracts and everything, and we got completely screwed. But the biggest lesson I learned here is that never go into a project without you know, having the budget secured. That's what I learned from this one, because it really threw not only the movie into a tizzy, my life, my finances, I mean, everything. It was complete and utter nightmare for me for a long time, until we got the movie back on track. So, you know, that's the thing, is like, you always want to go in with the budget, with the money. But the thing is, like, with independent film, you know, you're clawing your way to get these things done. It's really hard to make independent films. It's really hard to sell them. It's really hard to sell them foreign, get distribution, because you want to assemble the best cast possible, but you're also, you know, you're fighting against the studios who have all the money in the world and can, you know, put as many cast in there as want and throw marketing dollars, you know, at these films and get them all over, you know, everywhere possible, you know, and marketing when it comes to P&A money. And it's very hard to get people, you know, eyes on your independent film. So it's really word of mouth and doing all that hustling yourself and trying your best to, you know, build a little cult type audience where people kind of gravitate and grab on and, you know, and spread the good word for independent films, because that's how, you know, these things survive and thrive. So that's,
well, yeah. I was gonna say, well, this movie here, I mean, when once you got going into it, I would just think, to me, I mean, of course, I could be wrong, so tell me if I am, but with the cast that you assembled, I would rather think that this would actually be a bit of a bidding type of war to get this movie to release it, because of the weight of the cast. You know, does that happen? You know, I've heard about movies that, you know, that will be put up and then people will bid for it. When you presented Fluxx, did that kind of generate any sort of bidding action for it? Like, it's a great movie, a great cast, I went in on it.
Well, we did get a few offers for distribution, and I ended up going with the Forge, their boutique distributor. But they're all former filmmakers, so they understand what it really takes to make a movie. And they one thing I liked about them and their pitch was that they're very filmmaker friendly, and I would be involved in every aspect of everything, which is the trailer, the marketing, everything. And they let me keep the title and everything else. And they just were really supportive of me. And that's why I went with them instead of these other distributors, because they weren't really throwing up the P&A. Even though we had a small P&A budget with the Forge, still the P&A goes a long way, marketing money. So, but these other companies were kind of, I just got a weird vibe from them. They just weren't going to give the film, I feel like, the love that it deserved, and just kind of throw it out there into the world and just, and change the title and just do whatever the hell they want. I felt like I was signing my life away. So I'm happy I stuck it out and decided to go with the Forge on that. So we did get a few offers though, but bidding war, I don't know about a bidding war, but the good thing is that there were several offers to distribute the movie. So
yeah, and I would also say, Patrick, real quick, that there was one other movie that I did like maybe 18 years ago that stopped filming, and then we resumed months later. But there's been other movies that I've done that have never seen the light of day, and so this was a unique experience. And I would just say that Brendan could have at some point sort of tried to walked away or whatever, and his sort of his determination. It was something that I've never seen before. The things that he had to go through and what he fought for, it wasn't his money, his fault that the money sort of never came to him. And the perseverance that he had and the film that he made with all of those challenges is absolutely incredible. So it is a very unique situation, and he's a very unique person for being able to, sort of regroup, and a year and a half later, sort of bring Tyrese in and do all of these things to create the movie that you're seeing. So it really is a very unique situation. It really never really seen it before. And of course, wow. Brendan's the one that pulled it all off.
Now, okay. So, I mean, the three main principles, the Forge, you, Brendan. So, is there any sort of repercussions or is there anything at all like you could do, like the guy who signed the company or the guy who signed this, the other half? Is there any protections at all for productions like that? Because I've heard about that too, Shiloh, about movies not being made and, not finishing up, and then one like, as soon as you hear that, you instantly start thinking about like the director and the cast going like, why didn't it get finished? Who pulled out? That's really the question. The question is, every time you hear a movie not being finished, you sit there and say, well, who pulled out?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to answer?
It's probably so complicated and convoluted. It's one of those things. It's like so many deals in every sort of business fall apart. It's like, do you sue the person? How long is that going to take? That means I can't finish my movie. All of those sort of things that come with a lawsuit or whatever, or especially for a filmmaker like Brendan. So he is producing the movie. So there are those sort of options, I imagine, but it's also the film that he wrote and he's trying to direct. So the most important thing is to finish the movie. So of course, you're pissed off and this person, did a horrible thing, but going through all of the things you would have to go through to try to, sue them or whatever it may be, you lose your movie, you don't get to make the movie, you're spending years and years in litigation, so it's sort of one of those things of like, what's the most important thing here? Yeah. Probably Brendan's movie would be my thought.
I would just think word of mouth would be what I was thinking about. I was just thinking like, right. Joe Smith, screwed me over. I'm going to, like how they say, like you screw over one person and 10 others are going to hear about it.
Right.
And then, that comes out to you, next time you walk up there and say you want to be a big shot and sit there and say, yeah, I'll be a producer. And somebody might sit there and say, yeah, we know about your reputation. No, thanks. We'll wait.
That's honestly the shitty part about the entertainment business, is that there's a lot of these guys that claim they can do this, and that, and they like to show off. And when it comes down to it, they really can't get it done. And you meet a lot of these people. And so now with being in LA for God knows how many years, 25 years, you start to navigate who's full of shit and who can actually get things done. And when the shit hits the fan, sorry, I'm using the word shit a lot, but when the shit hits the fan, you literally have to rely on yourself to finish it and get things done. Because as Shiloh said, being in litigation forever would just it just would suck up all my energy and my time. Whereas like I just have to problem solve and try to figure out a way to get the movie finished, because I could have just claimed bankruptcy and all the debt and everything and just wash my hands clean and that's it, and screwed over a bunch of people. But that's not who I am. I've never not finished something I've started. So it took a year and a half. It was a year and a half of hell. My thank God my wife, stuck by me through all of it, because it was brutal.
Don't they save us all?
Yeah.
Aren't wives just absolutely the rock for us all?
Oh yeah. She was incredible through all of it, and thank God, because it was really, really rough. So
yeah, but there also the people that we don't that we don't want to work with. Maybe we won't say it publicly, but certainly, the people that we work with are our managers or our agents or our lawyers. Those people know the names of people that we don't want to work with, and that gets spread around, certainly. Yeah.
It's a very
that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, when you piss off of someone like on the level of you, Shiloh, or Shelley, or Ian, or Tyrese, that carries weight. An actor, when you worked your ass off to get where you're at now, over 70 credits and counting. I mean, and some of the biggest franchises in the world, with the Fast and Furious, Shelley has did tremendous. Shit, they're still clamoring for another season of Teen Wolf. They're still crying out for it. So the popularity of her and that to me, it's just like, man, people need to be a little bit more careful before they affect people that way, because you never know when it's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
Maybe like Return to Sender, okay. Okay, so I have to talk about that movie, because that's the movie I met you, Shiloh, as far as you being an actor. Yes.
Wow.
That movie is I just want to touch about it just for a minute, because I noticed one thing when I'm looking at your body of work. Man, you get cast with some seriously beautiful ladies.
Yeah, I've been very, very lucky. That's very true. I agree.
How do you think that works out?
Man, I guess they're fooled for a minute as I audition, and then they have to work with me, and then I don't know how many are repeat offenders. I don't know how many have done it twice. So
I read that about you, how you feel intimidated doing rehearsals. And I'm going like, well, this guy, he doesn't have anything to be intimidated by. You were a very good actor. Does that still happen? Is that just part of your process, that when when you meet somebody on your level or higher, you get nervous?
I think so. I think it's also, I just finished doing a play with John Bernthal and this woman, Marin Ireland, who I think is the most brilliant actress out of the whole list of anybody I've ever worked with. And I've done a couple plays with her. And, she went to drama school for college, and John studied theater in Russia. And part of it is that I didn't go to theater school. So I learned sort of on the job. I learned starting with the short film I made with Brendan and doing other TV shows. But really, feeling like I just don't have that, the sort of base to begin with, having that sort of college degree or having the sort of theater training or acting training. I just feel a little bit, like I maybe don't belong or something. So the positive thing is that I think it forces me to work a little bit harder, but I certainly, I always feel nervous and uncomfortable. And that's why I think, doing plays once in a while is such a good challenge, because it really forces you out of that. You have no choice but to sort of step out on stage and play your part.
Let me ask a question here that maybe you've never heard of, but I'm gonna let Brandon answer it, because Brandon's sitting right next to you. Maybe this will help you. But Brandon, as a director and as a producer, who are you gonna take for a role? Somebody who just graduated from acting school, or someone with 20 credits underneath their belt?
There's a couple of factors. It always it'll depend on the role. If the person blew my mind, then yes. But also if there's money if I can't raise a certain amount of money because of a certain name, then that becomes, obviously a problem. If I can't get the movie greenlit because of a name, then you have to find those pieces. And that's the kind of the shitty part about the business, because you just want to work with the best person for the role. But you can't make the movie without the money. So it's, it's these catch-22s you're always running into. But back to what he was saying, I've known Shiloh for so long, and it's the coolest thing is getting to see Shiloh on stage, because I was a theater actor growing up, and just how he got into the business and how he started it. And then he kind of went back and started doing theater. And I've seen him in a few plays now. This one he just did, Ironbound. I saw him play 2 different roles, one in New York, and then I saw him play a different role in the one he just did with Bertha. And it just, I don't know. There's something to me that's it's even more special watching him in a play, seeing him doing it on stage, than me seeing one of his movies, which I've seen all of them, because I know how hard it is to do that night in and day out, how many performances,
Nope.
and just to see him grow into the actor he's become, but also have now that theater training is probably the coolest thing you can watch. And with your friend, and also someone who's a colleague and a partner in the film space for with me. So it's just awesome.
I am getting more confident though, Patrick. After all this time, I certainly do feel like I know what I'm doing a little bit more than I did years back.
Well, definitely, I agree with you, because you keep getting great roles and tremendous movies. Now, Fluxx is interesting, because it starts off more like a science fiction movie. We see the sort of like without doing any spoilers, but it does seem like it's a throwback to a certain Bill Murray picture.
Oh, yeah.
And what had was that your intention, Brendan? To throw, because it really, I mean, when the swerve comes, it comes out of left field. Was that always the intent of Fluxx?
It was a mislead, because the thing is, the bathtub was just a catalyst for her, obviously not being able to leave the house. But the thing is, there's a reason behind why she can't leave the house, and you find out later that all that unravels. But the bathtub has significance to her relationship with Trevor, Shiloh's character. So that was the whole importance of the bathtub, is that and it's kind of, there's all these little Easter eggs that are in the movie. So it's a movie that's meant to be watched twice, because you'll see that all these little things are planted in there that all kind of come together for the third act and the finale of the movie. But it's such a complicated, crazy film that I wanted to do a lot of misdirects with it and just take you on this crazy ride, because most films you kind of know what you're getting into as soon as you start in the first 5-10 minutes. But I wanted to do something different, where you don't know where you are. You try to figure out, is this, is it this? And then it's just a complete mislead. But I did really want to pull it all back together in the third act. Obviously, I admire directors like David Lynch and Kubrick and whatnot, but instead of it just leaving it dreamy, and I wanted to actually have some sort of conclusion for the end of the movie, where it kind of all gets brought back home at the end.
I'm looking to our chat here. I want to say acknowledge everybody coming in. Our friend Mike is here. He's also an interviewer and over in the UK. Our good friend Steven is here. Steven, here's one for you. Shiloh actually likes country music, and Steven likes playing country music himself.
Nice.
Brother Mac is in the house, and then Mike's mind has just got blown by saying, "Holy cow, that's David from Evil Dead 2013, which is my favorite Evil Dead movie. Shiloh, you rock."
Nice.
It's a great movie.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about that too. Believe me, we're going to be talking a little about that, and we're going to. Who was the actress in the play that you said that just blew you away?
Marin Ireland.
The Wicked and the Dead, or the Wicked, the dead. Oh boy. I know which one. I know which movie she's in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a little part in Hell or High Water. She was just in Dope Thief. Eileen was a movie that she's in. She does tons of, she's been nominated for Tony, and big theater actress. She's just incredible. Yeah.
I'm that. Let me tell you, if she's hearing this, if she ever hears this, that is such high praise, because I've seen some of the actresses including Shelley, that you've acted against, including one of my personal favorites, was of course Rosamund Pike.
Yeah,
that's really, really high praise. That's a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah, I haven't done a film with her, but when you do a play, you get so much rehearsal time, so you're spending so much time trying to find these characters, versus when you do a movie, a lot of times you don't have rehearsal at all, or you have a few minutes before you shoot a scene, and in that case you don't really get that sort of depth of understanding the other person's sort of process or their character. And you're doing this every night, so each night you have to make it fresh, and you're coming with a brand new sort of feeling maybe every single night. So it's just I guess it would be a different thing. I mean, Rosamund Pike was each person that I've worked with, especially the sort of incredible female actresses I've gotten to work with, have each been unique to themselves. Rosamund was really she showed up super prepared. I mean, she was absolutely incredible and completely intimidating because of how incredible she is.
I was gonna say I was intimidated by her, and I'm watching the movie. I'm going like, boy, you just done fucked up, boy. You messed with the wrong woman. You messed with the wrong.
Yeah, and I had to do a screen test with her, and she was friendly, but we didn't really talk. And then as we were doing the film, it wasn't until towards the end of the movie that we sort of actually became friendly. There were these scenes where we were talking through the prison sort of phone system, and we were filming in a real prison. The area that we were filming in was no longer sort of active, but the phone system, they gave you a code every morning for how to access the other person. And I think it lasted for 30 minutes or something. So we'd be shooting scenes for hours at those phones, and every morning they would give me a number, and she was just shocked that I could remember each number each day for consecutive hours when I would have to punch it in. And that's when she started to sort of become a little bit warmer with me. She was very surprised that I could remember these numbers that it was like 12 or 14 numbers every time. And I was sort of like, well, that's my job, is just to memorize things. So, that's why it's easy for me. But she warmed up, and she was absolutely incredible. And funny enough, I didn't get to spend any real time with Nick Nolte. We had that one scene, but I'm going to go do a movie next month, and he's also in that film. So I hope I get another chance to kind of at least have a dinner with him or something.
I was going to say, a movie like that, that's got to be one of the actors' hardest jobs, because the subject matter of that movie is so damn heavy. I mean, it's not pleasant. I could understand her, I could understand either one of you wanting to be buddy because of the subject matter. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, do you think that had part of, does a story like that, does it come into play with how you relate to scene partners? It's like, man, this is like, a heavy subject here. It's like, I don't expect to be, I don't expect to go dance a waltz afterwards.
That does. I think it depends, but on this particular movie, I think that probably had something to do. She's such a professional. I mean, I don't know what her process was, but she showed up prepared. And I know that for Nick Nolte, that was very true. He didn't want to spend any time with me because he wanted to view me as this person who had done this terrible thing to his daughter. I think there's, a lot of people do work with that, with sort of putting up sort of constraints or sort of walls, so that you don't get too friendly with somebody that you're supposed to have a different relationship with on screen. So I think that can happen. That movie, for both of us, her and I both had a different vision for what that movie was going to be, what it was going to look like. It was actually shot by the cinematographer who shot Titanic, which was kind of exciting. but we both saw it as a much more gritty film. And the scene where I come to her place and have that horrible act that I do, we saw that very differently than the filmmaker did. We saw the end of the film very differently than the filmmaker did. So we thought we were making a different movie than what actually came out, which doesn't always happen. With her, I think, she goes into a film sort of knowing what the end product should be or is supposed to be. That film, we didn't know, and there was some issues with when the editing was happening and the producer sort of calling us and saying, this isn't the movie that I think we all tried to make, only because the end is somewhat unclear. The film is really sort of lit it's overly lit, and we kind of wanted a little bit more of a gritty sort of darkness to it. And that scene is so startling and sort of just brutal, that first scene that I'm talking about. And we wanted it to have a little bit more nuance. We wanted it to be maybe a mistaken hint that he's taking something that she did in the wrong way versus him just completely brutalizing this woman. So that was kind of tough because we ultimately thought that it would have a little bit more nuance, that movie, than it did. So anyways, but yeah, I think she went to make Gone Girl right after that. And the character, definitely, she at least had some practice to really nail it in Gone Girl,
He did. Yeah. That's interesting you said that. And, now that you said it that way, let me catch up with our chat here, because I definitely don't want to forget anybody. Let's see. A question for you, Shiloh. Working with Nicolas Cage in The Old Way, Kate Siegel in Torn Hearts, veteran actors. How did you bring your experience working with them, and what lessons did you get working with them? What did you bring that to Fluxx? I'll tell you one thing. This is the first time that I saw you play a good guy. Like, you were like the hero of the piece.
Right.
It was really interesting because you're really handsome. You're a leading man, but it always seems like you always get put in some of the more, like the bad boy role or the villain role.
Yeah.
Here you played against type, I would say. What experience? I'll go with Mike here. So what experience did you bring with you from playing the bad boy role? How did you bring that good boy role to life in Fluxx?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was both of those actors who I love and really respect. It's funny, I didn't really get a lot of screen time with either of them. So when I did the Nick Cage movie, we he's kind of chasing us the whole movie. So we shot on different days. So I actually didn't get to work with him until the very last shootout day. But this movie with Brendan, it was funny when I first read it. There was this scene where Trevor, my character, got sort of upset with his with Shelley's character and kind of acted out. And I said, Brendan, man, I don't know if I can do this. I want to be good, and this kind of feels like he's not a great person in this scene. So what I really actually enjoyed about this, I think it's a little bit more complex. I think, he's trying to do his best, but he also makes mistakes. I think it's a very human character versus just like a good guy versus a bad guy, because I think he does things that are inappropriate. I think he does things that are selfish. He obviously sort of uses her in some ways. But I've played much worse roles. If we think of Return to Center, that's a terrible person. This guy just makes human mistakes,
Yeah,
so,
I like Trevor. I thought he got basically got manipulated, and he got pushed into some of his actions. I think he had the best intentions from the beginning.
right.
It wasn't like that you went looking for her for what for Veronica.
Yeah.
Or Veda, and to get what she wanted, she walked up to you first and went with you.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that he was a good guy, and that he was doing the best he could, underneath the circumstances. And
is that men and women perceive the movie very differently than I've gotten. How they perceive Trevor and how they perceive Veda. It's very funny how men and women perceive the film. I've always heard opposite things, and I think that's really cool that people perceive the characters differently. You know, so some people will think a lot of men they side with Shiloh, and that and a lot of women think Shiloh's character is not a good guy, and that, you know, and he was giving her the runaround. It's like, it's funny because we've tested it a bunch, and I actually enjoy that there's that conversation about the characters.
But you're right. Yeah, he's sort of just there, and
Yeah.
she does come into his life and sort of cause this roller coaster, and he's sort of doing the best he can with somebody who's clearly got some illness that, you know, and she's unwilling to get the help that she clearly needs. So, yeah, it does make sense. And, but I do have that sometimes where, you know, I feel like maybe it's because I've played so many roles that aren't necessarily quote unquote good guys, that sometimes I'll read something and I'll say, you know, gosh, I'd really like to come off as a good person in this movie. Can we cut this scene down, or do I have to hit this person, or, you know, something like that. So that's perceptive. Yeah.
Let me get with the second question for you, and then I have one for you, Brendan. That Shiloh, he mentions that, and I want to talk to you about it. Our friend Mike says, a question for you both. Upon reflection, the art of watching or making a movie is beautiful. When was the last time you both stopped just for a moment on set and thought, I just created something magical?
You want me to go first? Okay.
Sure.
It would have to be the film we just finished shooting, the one I did with Tanner Beard and Michael Madsen and Jamie King, just because it's the most recent one. I think when we were shooting the war scenes, the Afghanistan reenactment of the war, you know, there's these sniper scenes. It just all felt very surreal because we were shooting in this big, you know, movie set that they've shot a lot of epic, huge, big budget war films at. And I think just pulling off what we did on a very small scale was, you sit back, there's a helicopter there, you have the military consultant, all the guns, they're in full gear. I think for a moment you look around, you're like, okay, wow. I can't believe we just did this and just pulled it off. And then you go and see the dailies, and you put it all together, and you're like, holy shit, this is pretty badass. And we did this as a collective. And I think it's one of those moments you're like, wow, okay, I just did something I didn't know I could do, you know, and pull off and make it feel authentic and real, and, you know, pretty badass. So
your new movie is going to be sort of like a continuation of Fluxx. It looks like you got yourself another strong cast there.
It's a strong cast, but it's a very different movie from Fluxx. It's actually a complete 180. You know, so it's a modern day Western, basically. So with some kind of, I don't know, Oliver Stone, Tarantino vibes from the 90s, you know. So, but it's I'm very proud of it, but very different from Fluxx. So that'll be the new one. Hopefully, we'll be done by September with it. So,
what's it
How
called?
about you, Shiloh? What moment and have you done, or a role that you've done where you just sat there and said, "Wow, that was just amazing"? Movie. I mean, otherwise I know you probably picked the theater, but movie wise, what's been a good moment?
I got two. That the first one that pops up is actually when we were in Hawaii shooting this movie. I was about to get engaged in Hawaii, and Brendan obviously knew that, and so we were shooting at this beautiful house in Hawaii, making a film with, you know, one of my oldest best friends finally, and this is before the movie sort of fell apart in that first section. And we were sort of like, look at this.
We were living together. We were all staying in the same house.
Can you believe we're in Hawaii making this movie? You're married, you're going to have kids. I'm about to get engaged. And it was sort of just this incredible moment. And then everything fell apart, but now it's back together. And then I say, you know, the second thing would be, I just got to do Chris Nolan's movie, The Odyssey, in Morocco.
Nice.
And just seeing, you know, what they created for the city of Troy, and, you know, 1,100 extras, and the Trojan horse, and just being in my armor. It was just unbelievable with Matt Damon, and
are you Achilles, or are you Achilles in it?
I'm not. I'm not Achilles in it. I don't think I'm allowed to say anything, actually, but it was an incredible, you know, just to see the scope of that film, and the epic, the Homer's poem sort of come to life was just pretty much pinch me. Yeah, it was amazing.
I love Troy, so I had to ask. Troy's great.
Yeah.
Brandon, so here's a question I have for you, and it's going to go off of what Shiloh was talking about earlier about Return to Sender, how they came into the movie one way, and then by the end of it, it came out differently. And Mike won't be surprised when I mention this movie because I've been championing the actress. But I remember when Madam Web came out, and Dakota Johnson was starring in it as Madam Web. And when it came out, they're doing press for it and whatnot, and it was a Marvel movie, and it got all the hype and everything. But all of a sudden, she just started getting totally like crushed. And she went out there. She went on record basically saying, "Listen, I signed up for one movie. It ended up a completely different movie. It's not. This is not the movie I signed up for. I read the script. I'd like, you guys go over it, right? You read the script. You look. You see how it's going to play out. This is intriguing to me. This is what I want to do. It'd be like if you went to do the Odyssey and end up doing, Fiddler on the Roof. It's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't mean for that to happen. What happened?
Yeah.
How does that happen, Brendan? And what? How can actors be protected from that? Because I've heard of people like rewriting the script overnight and coming back to the talent the next day and saying, "Okay, we had to rewrite this scene."
Yeah.
Well, how does that happen where a movie gets that far off track that the actor is basically left out to dry like that, and basically.
Yeah, well, I mean, from a studio perspective, I think the studio has the final say, so they can come on and they can change anything they want whenever they want, unless a director has final cut. In the independent world, it's a little bit of a different ball game. Everybody's kind of on board to play the same game, and everybody's on the same team. You kind of know what you're going into, but there will be always logistical problems and things can get rewritten and whatnot. But you hope your vision, you can see it through, and it's going to be a clear vision that everybody's on board for and taking the ride with you, and you're going to make the movie you all intended to make. But sometimes you get thrown curveballs. I can't make excuses for other filmmakers because I don't know what they're going through, but all said and done, it is the director's movie. So it kind of falls on them. It's their vision. And, yes, actors obviously are bringing a big valuable part to the whole, conglomerate that is the movie. But, it's the director's say when it comes down to it being, a completed project. They have to take, the credit for it, whether it fails or whether it's a success. So I guess with every situation, it's different. But I think a film like Madam Web, I'm sure had a lot of studio influence, and it was probably a bunch of bad decisions were made, and that's why the movie didn't perform well. So
I just felt bad for her because it felt like she got left on the dangling hook, and it's like really not fair.
Well, the studios are never going to, they're not going to take responsibility for any of that stuff. They're going to point the blame everywhere else, even if they made the calls. That's the way it works.
Yeah, I think what can happen is that a director isn't vocal about what their vision is. So you're bringing actors in, and sometimes the actor doesn't know what movie they're acting in. They may have an idea of when they read the script, they think it reads this one way when the director has a different vision for it. And so with Brendan, what's so neat is he really understands what he's going for, and he knows how to explain what he wants. And so when you're going to go do a movie with Brendan, it's exactly sort of what he wants, what his vision is, and that doesn't always happen with every director that you work with.
Shiloh brings up a very valid point. It's hard for me to speak on this, but I just from being Shiloh's friend and hearing about some of the projects he's worked on, and directors not really expressing their vision or not having a clear path to for the actors and whatnot. And Shiloh's had to pick up the pieces, and at times it's almost like he's had to direct some of the scenes himself, and that wasn't what he signed up for. And I don't think he enjoys doing that, so he'd rather be with, I'm not saying with me, but with a director he trusts who has a vision that, he can do his job and just focus on his job and not have to direct the scenes. himself, which I know he's had to do before. So,
Shiloh, are you comfortable working with a first-time director, or do you tell your manager or your agent to make sure they have some experience underneath their belt before you want someone with 5 or 10 movies underneath their belt, and maybe not necessarily a first-time director. And what are the things? I mean, does that make you comfortable enough to work with a first-time director?
I've worked with first-time directors many, many times. I think, if I were to go back and sort of think about what I would redo in my career, I probably would have tried to work with people that were a little bit more established. I think that has gotten me into some films that whether because you liked the role or you thought it was something you hadn't done before, sort of saying yes to things that if I go back, I would say no to many, many things that I've done. I'd say going forward, I have no problem working with a first-time director. I'm excited that somebody's making a movie that I'm attracted to, that I like it. I think that's awesome. I love actually working with first-time directors and collaborating and sort of helping their vision come to life. And at the same time, I think that, in some ways, I've done that many, many times. So what I also look forward to is working with people who are established, who have some sort of a proven track record, so that when you go into the production, you sort of know that this person knows what they're doing, and they're most likely going to make a good film.
Yeah, I think by now for sure. I mean, you gotten to the point now where you could be a lot more choosy about what you do. There are certain criteria on a project that you'll look for. Good script, good experienced director. Budget all in, and I mean, there are certain things now. Whereas before, when you're first starting out, you're just looking for the role.
Exactly.
Now you can take your time, breathe, and look for Fluxx. Hell yeah, I'm doing this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
This looks like a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Let's see. Mike said that Brendan and Shiloh are legends. Really enjoying the discussion. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I am too. I would be remiss, and I probably catch a lot of heat from this if I don't ask a couple of questions from about Evil Dead 2013, which I'm sure you've answered 10,000 times. But I'll just make it a couple of quick questions.
Cool.
Are you a big horror movie fan?
Am I a big horror movie fan? I wouldn't say that I'm a big horror movie fan. I was really nervous about doing the Evil Dead remake because of the sort of the fandom around that film. I mean, there's almost nothing like it. So it was really a nerve-wracking thing to say yes to that movie, and I really didn't know if it was going to go over well. So I'm really, really happy that most people seem to enjoy that remake. I do really like horror films. I like all kinds of films. And I think that pulling off a horror film is harder than it looks or than it seems. And I feel really lucky that horror film was the one that I sort of got to do. I would definitely do it.
When you do a movie from a franchise like that, I mean, you're right. I mean, the fandom could be overwhelming at times. And when you were approached about doing it, what was your obviously you wanted to do the role and David, and you did great. That movie, a lot of people really have actually said this. I've heard them say it. They actually would prefer the remake to the original.
Right. Yeah.
That's high praise. I thought they were even. I thought either one was just absolutely brilliant.
They're very different movies with this, and that's, I think, what's the cool thing about them. They're both executed well. Completely different styles, though.
Yeah, it was hard to say yes to that movie. I remember talking to my agents, and they said, you got to do this movie. I said, I think it's a really bad idea. They're like, well, go watch the originals. I was like, I did, and they're nothing like this movie. This is and Bruce Campbell's not in it, so how are people going to like it? So It was a very hard movie to say yes to. I actually kind of wanted to say no, and I'm very glad. Obviously, Fede was a first-time director on that film, and he's gone on to be one of our great working filmmakers today. So, yeah.
How much of Fluxx would you say, Brendan, is rooted in horror?
Just maybe 25-30%.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was wondering if you saw it too, because I when I was watching this and I'm going like, I was thinking, man, there's a lot of horror element in this movie. This movie is not just a straight out crying drama or whatever. There's some really scary shit in this movie.
Yeah,
And
it's actually whet my appetite to do a horror film, and I'm actually shooting my first feature length horror film at the end of the summer, and I believe it's going to be in Bulgaria. So I wrote the script with my writing partner, who I wrote Fluxx with, and it's a psychological horror. So it'll be my first time doing a horror feature, which I'm excited about, not just because it's horror, because horror is very difficult to do. It's just timing and lighting, and there's so many pieces to it. So I like. There's so many cool aspects of how you can, pull these things off, and I'm really excited to do it because I feel like it's going to be a huge challenge. That's what I'm most excited about, because I like horror. It's not my favorite genre. I don't even know what my favorite genre is, to be honest with you. I love all genres, but
I love everything too.
but I love horror films. I'm just not a die-hard horror guy, because I love sci-fi just as much as I like horror, and so. But I'm excited to do it because I think it's going to be a lot of fun and really, really difficult.
It is much harder to make a good horror film than I think people realize. Yeah.
What is the most hard? What genre have you? What genre do you feel, Shiloh, have is your favorite, and which one has been your least favorite, but you worked the hardest to overcome it? Like I can, like if I didn't want to play westerns, I'm like, oh, it's a western. But then I get a good script. How do you bring yourself to just get fired up and go like, you know what? Get over myself. I like this movie. I'm gonna become a better. I want to do all genres, because some actors, as you know, I don't know if they get pigeonholed or they do it by free will, by their own choice, but they only tend to play a certain amount of genres. You, on the other hand, you're all over. I mean, you've done comedy, you've done crime drama, you've done horror, you've done mystery. Yeah.
I would say, I feel most comfortable in kind of dramas. Horror films are really cool too, because I think that's why people love horror films so much, is because our own lives, even if they're not as spectacularly bloody as these movies, we have those feelings, those innate feelings walking around every day, and the horror film is sort of just putting a sort of microscope on our feelings and sort of interpreting them in a bigger, scarier way. But I don't do, I haven't been able to do a lot of comedy. I just got to do an episode of Poker Face, and that was funny, I thought. But yeah, comedy would be the thing that I would say is probably the most difficult, that I haven't had tons of opportunity to try to do. And maybe I'm just not funny. I don't know.
I love Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, she's great.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy for her success.
Yeah.
It looked for a minute there. It looked like that was everything happened. It was
a comeback story. Absolutely.
It really is. It really is. It's one of my favorite comeback stories. I followed her career from the first time I saw her American Pie, and I read all about the other shit that she went through, and I'm like, man, she ain't gonna come out on the other side. Yeah. But then she did.
Yeah. Yeah, she's and me and my wife watched the Paul Rubens Pee-wee documentary last night. I got to know him a little bit, and we saw that she was actually on Pee-wee's Playhouse when she was like 7 years old. Really? Natasha was one of the kids on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So we were like, oh my God, there's Natasha, like 7 years old, jumping on Cherry or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, did you find that? Did you find that out after you did your guest spot?
We just watched it last night. So me and my wife were like, I think that's Natasha Lyonne on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we found out after. I knew she was a child actor. I mean, I knew she'd been in tons of stuff, but yeah, no, she's really great. She's got so many cool things coming up. She's really she's a very creative, driven, smart, incredible woman, incredible comeback, super talented. Just I can't say enough good things about her.
Sort of like the anti-Veda. I mean, if you look Veda and you look at Natasha, I mean, there's a lot of each in both. Yeah,
that's a really perceptive thing to say. Absolutely.
Brendan, when in writing Flux, had you ever been in a situation like that before? Or have your friends ever told you about a situation like that where, the one person I thought right off my head was Phil Hartman.
Oh, who got? Oh, you mean the ending? You mean?
Yes.
With, yeah. No. I just took that to an extreme for the ending, but all of the rest of Veda and how she feels and what she's going through, that I just pull from, people that I know, friends, relationships I've been in. Pieces of it are a lot of the characters are pieces of me. But it's just the movie is built on cliches, but Hollywood is the cliche. Hollywood is exactly what you think it is. All the cliches that are Hollywood, to me, it's what it is. The cocaine in the bathroom, the blah blah blah, I'm a woman, and but he, the vagina thing with her, with the woman, like I'm only getting cast because I'm a man, and those things. It's like all these things are part of are what the Hollywood story is, and I'm just putting it out there in your face, and it's honestly in many ways kind of pathetic, and what a lot of these people have to go through, losing the identity of who they are just so they can fulfill their dream. And credit to Shiloh. Shiloh's always been the same person his whole career. He's the same guy I met years ago.
Yeah, you can. You know what? You're right, because I can sense that just in our small talk here. I can sense that he's incredibly grounded,
Yeah,
incredibly grounded.
he is, and he's a great father, and he's good, awesome husband, and he's a great friend. So, but he's been grounded in his, and a lot of people are not. Sadly, I've seen this town, and I'm sure he has to chew up and spit out a lot of people. We've had friends pass away, and there's the brutal truth behind all the glamour and glitz. There's a dark side of wanting to fulfill your dreams in some sort of way, and that's what the movie's about. I wanted to show that shitty side of Hollywood.
Did you intend for Flux to be? Did you intend it to be a cautionary tale when you first wrote it? Did you intend it to be like a warning to any young actor or artist coming into it? Because you know, like like there was a PSA used to show this girl standing on the dive board and says, before you jump, you better see what you're jumping into. It's an empty pool. Is
No,
that,
that's not I guess in a way it is a cautionary tale, but that's not what I set out to do. I just wanted to just show what it's like, trying to achieve your a dream and how hard it is. And I didn't want it to be about mental health either, but it's about drug abuse, alcohol abuse, mental health. It's like I wasn't trying to hit those hot topics, so to say. I just wanted to show just kind of what I've seen people go through, what I've been through, and just just it's life is hard, and these are the challenges. And if like Shallow was saying with horror and stuff, you have this, we might have these thoughts, doesn't mean we're going to act upon them, but what if somebody actually acted upon them, got to the point of their boiling point and their breaking point and just snapped. And that's kind of what I wanted to show. It's just someone just doesn't get to fulfill her dreams, feels like she's the victim, but in a big way, a lot of it was her undoing as well. So, and then she just snaps, and I've seen a lot of people snap.
See, that's what I thought about Phil Hartman, because I think his wife was like that. His wife was an actress as well, but I don't think her career was doing anything. And I just, he was getting more out there, and I think she just snapped, and that's what she,
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you do to stay grounded? I mean, how have you stayed grounded? It's because you've been here, you've been doing this for a little bit now, but you don't get to go where you're at without being grounded. What are some of the things that you've done? Well, besides getting married, have you done that really? I said that. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the best thing you'll do. It
Yeah.
truly is. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I just don't, I mean, for me, it's like, this is sort of my career. It's my job. And I don't have any other skills. So, I don't see it as anything but sort of what I was born to kind of do. And, I feel like I've been really lucky to make a living and to do it and to have some really great experiences. And, with being an actor, it's sort of like, there's really, I mean, some people get to retire because they've made tons of money or they don't want to do it anymore. But for the most part, you see people working most of their lives as actors. So there's no real retirement. And I don't see, just because this is what I chose to do. I mean, my dad was a social worker and a therapist, my mom as well. So they're doing, things that should be praised much more than what I'm doing. And there's people out there that do things that deserve, praise and everybody's sort of adoration. And so I really like that what I do reaches people and makes people happy and they enjoy it, but it's such a silly thing in comparison to what a lot of people in the world are doing to make it a better place. So it's pretty easy to stay humble when you can sort of see that still.
You're very well spoken, by the way. I'm extremely impressed. This is, yeah, I absolutely believe 100% what she just said. I think, yeah. Mike mentioned question for you both, except for Fluxx. So Fluxx is out of the picture. When is the last time you filmed a movie, saw it on its release, and thought that particular scene is extra special because of the musical score added to it? Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the score a little bit after you answer that question.
About the Fluxx score?
No,
Fluxx. Anything but Fluxx.
Anything but Fluxx.
Yes. What movie have you done? What movie have you done where your score just kicked ass?
Oh, like maybe like there's so many movies. Scarface, the Back to the Future.
You remember a scene?
Oh yeah, Back to the Future when he's trying to escape the Libyans. In the parking lot at the mall. Like that music just carries that whole scene when he goes back in time for the first time. That was just like mind blowing, to me.
You just said the magical words right now, because that happens to probably be I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's actually Mike's favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future or the trilogy. I could not have scripted that any better what you just said. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's good.
How about you, Shiloh? What movie have you watched where the score has really just kicked your ass?
Gosh, I mean, I actually, I know it's one of my movies, but I do think that the score from Evil Dead 2013 was incredible. That guy is just a genius. And somebody actually gave me the CD score recently. I don't have a CD player, so I have to figure out how to play it. But yeah, I thought that score was really incredible.
Yeah, that was. You mentioned about your fear about walking in the footsteps of the first film, the first two films. I was going to tell you that you could have relaxed because Sam Raimi decided to shoot himself in the foot with the third one, Army of Darkness. I don't get him. That guy is a comedy director. He's a comedy director waiting for a comedy to bust out, and it's like, why don't you do one? Do a comedy. You'd be really good at it. Like Blazing Saddles 2 or something like that. Just do it. I see. Mike mentioned. Yeah. Okay. So I was paying attention. Back to the Future is his favorite movie of all time. I have a Back to the Future Hasley tattoo and met the cast.
Nice.
I was thinking the best way to get Teen Wolf back would be to bring Michael J. Fox back, because that original movie, I loved the original Teen Wolf movie. Yeah. I just thought he was so good in that movie. Good. It's a great high school movie.
Oh yeah.
You know what's funny is, you think about it, Sam Raimi took the Evil Dead franchise and he made it into a comedy. Whereas Teen Wolf came out as a comedy and they made it into an adventure series.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one do you think ended up carrying the day? I think I've heard nothing but positive about that Teen Wolf series, and the fans are absolutely fanatical.
Right.
What's been your best encounter with a fan? Both of you. That's a question for both of you. What's been your best encounter that with a fan?
Shiloh has a lot more fans than I do, so let's go. I mean,
I'm blown away that people want to take the time to appreciate something that I've done. Every time that happens, it blows me, and I don't know how to reciprocate because it fills me up with such gratitude. I feel very unworthy for that, and so it leaves me a little bit sort of off balance because I don't know how to say thank you back sometimes. But I feel, just it's incredible to have that sort of relationship, and I hope I get to meet more people if that's what they want to do.
How about you, Brad?
It would have to be at the Fluxx premiere that happened a couple of weeks ago. There was this woman outside. I don't know if she was with her manager, her agent, and she was like hysterical, crying. And they wanted to meet me, but she couldn't even speak. But the movie had such an impact on her, I guess, because maybe she's an actress or something, and she felt all the feels, I guess, of what Veda was going through. And she could barely, put together a sentence, but she was like really grateful for this movie because it kind of, I don't know, helped her in some sort of way, but also impacted her. So that was, I spent some time with them because I didn't want to walk away from someone who's, it threw me off guard. I was just put in this very crazy situation, but it's kind of powerful when something that you kind of came as an idea has that kind of impact on someone. So I guess that moment.
I tell you what, we have hit our mark. I don't want to keep you too long past our time, so I'm going to go ahead and say thank you.
Thank you,
Patrick.
You're a Mets fan?
Actually, I wore this out of to support my buddy. I'm actually a Yankees fan.
Oh,
so
wow. Yankees.
I'm a Yankee fan. You must have lost a bet then.
I was like, why couldn't they trade Devers before this past weekend? That would have helped. It would have been helpful.
I'm a Giants fan, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, okay. Do you go to very many games?
I was just at 2 games this weekend. The Giants played the Dodgers this weekend, and we're in LA, so I went to 2 out of the 3 games this weekend.
Nice.
We won 1 out of 3. So
what they say. My 3 favorite teams are the Yankees, and whoever's beating the Red Sox are the Dodgers. So
nice. Yeah. I like anybody that beats the Dodgers too.
I hope that we can have you both come back. Definitely, Brendan. I know for sure you and I will talk again. Shiloh, if you had a great time today, I hope that sometime. I know your time is. I know you're pulled like taffy, so I respect that and I'm thankful for coming out and talking with us today. I do hope that you'll come by and say hi again, maybe after the Odyssey's out. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. You guys were like Mike says, you guys are absolute legends today. I had a blast. I hope you had a good time too.
We did.
I want to say thank you.
Fluxx. It's coming out in VOD and digital on August 2nd. You can pre-order the movie on July 22nd. So please spread the word, support independent film, and just stream.
Are they going to do a physical release for this?
I believe there will be a physical release too. I think there's going to be a Blu-ray release, which is our 4K Blu-ray or something like that. But first, it'll be VOD and digital. Yep, August 2nd. So please go out and watch the movie.
That's right. Go watch Fluxx. And then when it comes out on physical release, we're on the front lines for that too. Most of my audience is physical media. They love physical media, so they'll be all over this. I want to thank the chat for coming out and supporting this. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Mike, I hope you had a great time.
Thanks, Mike. Nice to see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see each other next time. Real quick before I let you guys go, I'll be back here on Thursday to talk to another filmmaker, Addison Heath from Australia. We'll be talking to him on Thursday at 8:00 or 9:00. So until then, if you two guys just stay right where you are for 1 minute, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody else, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Thanks.